know, there are moments, there are times, there are events which make us remember why we are wrestling fans, which make you go, wow, that's why I like pro wrestling. Wow, that's what I like about pro wrestling. This, that, and the other. And last night, well, I guess by the time most of you see this, it will be 2 nights ago, as most of you probably won't see this till Wednesday. But on Raw, we had such a moment. We had such an event. I was at work, worked late, and so, but I kind of, it was a 3-hour Raw, so I kind of, you know, followed what was going on in Raw. It sounded like such a crap show. I was like, I'm not even going to watch it when I get home. Came home, and just started reading some stuff. And some comic books, actually. And I know a lot of guys, a lot of people, just on an off subject, a lot of people have asked me about comic book questions because I keep bringing up comic books, and yes, I'm a fan of comic books. And I'm going to do a video, it will be on the other account, talking about kind of me and comic books. And for those of you that care, you can see it there. So, anyways, enough about that. Anyways, so I was doing that, and all of a sudden I get a message on my phone from Instant Classic, and I will read you for verbatim exactly what this said. It said, "You are missing the greatest thing on Raw in the longest time." I was like, okay, what's going on? So I turn on the television, because Raw was on my television because it was being T-bowed. So I turn it on, and while I'm watching, and by the time I had turned it on, there was a ring that had been torn to shreds. There were ropes missing. John Cena was in the middle of the ring, destroyed, and the end of the beatdown that was, I guess, the NXT guys killing everyone, had just was just ending. And I was like, what in God's name is going on? So I rewinded it up until Wade Barrett walked out during the John Cena CM Punk match. And so Wade Barrett comes out, and of course the NXT guys come out, and then all freaking hell breaks loose in what was not a perfect segment. I won't call it perfect because I'm sure a lot of the TNA, you would rip this apart if it was TNA people. This was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it was good, and it was exciting, and it was something that was fresh, and it was all of those things, and could lead to something great. I normally wouldn't come on here and talk about something like this, but since I've gotten so many messages and so many people asking me about it, I thought I would. The reason why, and I always say this, and this is something to keep in mind, the reason why I don't review TV shows for the most part, the reason why I don't talk about individual TV shows for the most part, is because really you're talking about a prolonged storyline. Let's talk comic books again. In comic books, very seldom today do you get standalone issues. Now, there's some comics where you do get standalone issues where you can pick up one issue, read it, start of the story, end of the story. But for the most part, you have, like, stories that take 3, 4, 5, 6, issues to tell the whole story. And much like in pro wrestling. And then to me, in pro wrestling, you start telling the story, and then you pretty much will where the story will either end, or the big event of the story, or where you really need to talk about where the story's going, is going to take place on the pay-per-view. That's what we're supposed to be going towards. So in my mind, that's what I review. That's what I mainly talk about. That's what I do. But this was really good, and this was very fresh, and this was very interesting, and this was definitely something that was new. From what I read, because I haven't watched it, but from what I've read, they didn't do a lot of follow through on NXT. It doesn't look like on SmackDown there's going to be a lot of follow through either, but they might be stretching out in the long haul, which would be good. And even though you have 7 guys, I believe there's 7 guys, I think this could really work. I think this could really done really well if they just follow the formula of, because they want to push Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett won. It's definitely clear that they probably want to push Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, as they're definitely high on him. They've been high on him from the get-go, and it definitely looks like they want to do something with him. They also looks like there's a couple of other guys that it looks like they want to do stuff with as well. So, but definitely not all 7 guys. And I think that if you just keep in mind that there's probably 3, 4 guys, probably 3, I would say, that they definitely want to use. I think if you just did the 4 horsemen kind of formula, where let Wade Barrett talk, let Wade Barrett kind of be the Ric Flair, not Ric Flair of course, but be a Ric Flair type of role. Let Bryan Danielson be more of the Arn Anderson role, and then give somebody else kind of the can't think of his name. Who am I thinking of? Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. I don't blank. Tully Blanchard role, and then you can all the other guys can kind of just be the 4th guy. I think that would work really well. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's one night, but it got everybody in the world excited. It got everyone in the world hyped up. You go anywhere on the internet, that's all anyone can talk about is what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Everyone kind of trying to figure out where it's going to go next, which then the WWE has to do something which they've not been doing well of late, is letting the story progress where it needs to progress, and not be like, okay, we have to fool the fans here, we have to fool the fans here, we have to fool the fans here. Just let it go where you want it to go. And don't worry about, surprising the fans, because if you let it go where it needs to go, when you legitimately swerve the fans will be that much bigger into it. I always preach that. I firmly believe it. But anyways, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that because everyone has been asking me about it. I'm pretty sure the video on this is going to not be very good. My computer is acting kind of funky. But anyways, I just wanted to come on here and talk about it because it was really good. It wasn't one of those moments where you just remembered why you were a fan of pro wrestling, particularly when it comes to, kind of more mainstream wrestling sort of thing. So, anyways, it was that. It was really good. It was really well done. Like I said, it wasn't perfect. There was definitely things I would have done differently. But, I think it kind of hurt that you didn't have more guys from the back come out. Particularly not so much when they were attacking Punk and Cena, because I think you can write that out to where no one really cares about either of those two, and oh yeah, let's watch both of them get their asses kicked. But when they started attacking King and everyone else, and I know guys came out, but you didn't see any wrestlers come out, and I think that's the big thing. So that would be my biggest gripe. Other than that, it was still done well, and that's just very little nitpicking because it was definitely a wonderful moment on a completely bullshit show. So there was that as well. But anyways, with that, I'm out. Like I said, I'll probably actually do it tonight. Talking a little bit about comic books and that sort of thing. Because I know a lot of you guys have asked, so just look for that. That'll be up on the other channel. So anyways, with that, I'm out. Have a good one, and later.